Hello, and welcome to the Dublin Arsenal podcast. I'm your host, Jonathan Giles. On this week's podcast, I'm joined by season ticket holders Eamonn Donnelly and Carl Osborne to review our 3-1 home victory over Russell Martin Southampton side. And remember to check out the River Bar, the official supporters bar of the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club, throughout the 24-25 season. So sit back and enjoy the show. On the show this week, as I said there in my intro, I'm joined by seasoned guests at this stage. First of all, to UK Gooner Carl Ozzy Osborne. How are you, pal?
I'm doing very well, mate. How are you? You all right?
Not too bad.
Good man.
I'm happy to have a new microphone and say all our listeners are glad that this audio.
Is that what that is? Is that what that is pointing out the corner?
No, it's not Little Dick, Carl. It's actually a microphone.
Well, it's a family show.
Little Dick, listeners, is in relation to Richard, Karen's friend, if anyone has a dirty mind. A legend to the show, and I know he's our number one listener. I'm also joined by the best man on the mic, Eamonn. How are you, Donnelly? How are you?
Eamonn and Jonathan, Eamonn and Carl, just watching side of the century there. They went for the Vauxhall Viva, but they missed it. They came out with a spirograph machine and a slush puppy maker. As you can see, the pitch behind me is in great shape there for this time of year. We're grand. We're all good. I was over at the game on Saturday and had a good day, and looking forward to just having a chat about it and see what Ozzy thinks, because sometimes I meet Ozzy after games and we were able to pick the bones out of it, but we didn't get a chance to do that this time. So I'd love to hear what he has to say about Saturday.
Yeah, I'd just like to say a big shout out to last week's guest who appeared on our preview show at the end of last week, Eamonn's mate, Bernard Harbour. I know it wasn't the result you were looking for, Bernard, but if this is any consolation, Eamonn's prediction was spot on, 3-1. So I'm sure you're happy enough with that.
Jonathan, if everybody listened to me, everything would be okay.
It's quite amazing. Eamonn knows exactly the thoughts in my head, and it just comes out. It's just beautiful broadcasting this. We're getting there 3 years on. We're all reading our minds. It's great. And there'll be an Arsenal fan pack sent out to Eamonn Donnelly for that prediction.
I'm just going over to get a spoon. I'm going to start bending it now, you know.
Eamonn Yuri, Keller Donnelly. Yeah, no, it's great to have, as I said, two season ticket holders who always get to see the best of the action when they're there, and it's great to have Eamonn and Karen along as always tonight. We begin as always with our match review. Arsenal 3, Southampton 1. Second half goals by Havertz and Martinelli within a 10-minute period, the 57 to the 68 minutes, and Bukayo Saka, who was involved in all three goals, scored the 88 minutes. A mistake by the Southampton defender, but he really took it well and might bury the pass there. Ex-keeper Aaron Ramsdale, and Cameron Archer scored for Southampton. They began to score, and a really good ball over the top by Fernandes for Archer, and he took it really well. You know, gave Ray really no chance. But just before we come into the review, lads, regarding our ex-goalkeeper Aaron Ramsdale, he got a superb ovation by both sets of fans, but of course mostly by ourselves being at the ex-club. The pictures I was looking at last night on Twitter, literally in tears. Can I get your view, Eamonn? Was it an emotional clap for him?
Well, you see, it all happened down the clock.
Yeah,
Jonathan, because I'm where was I? I was 18 rows back downstairs in the clock end, just behind the Ashburton Army. So he lined out there at the start of the game, and he got a terrific reception. But after the game, you see, what happened was he come down with the Southampton players to applaud the away fans, and the crowd stayed.
Yeah.
The crowd stayed to applaud Aaron Ramsdale, and he was a bit kind of, I don't know how to do this. We've just lost the game. I'm a professional, And then he came over and he singled out 2 kids and got his jersey off and signed it and gave it to them. And he got a terrific reception. And it was a very moving moment. And it just shows you the guy has a bit of class. But so is the Arsenal. I think I think we and I think regardless of what the result would have been, he would have gotten the same reception. So look, I was delighted with that, and I think it's something he'll take with him through his career, and the very best of luck to him.
Yeah, I have to say, I thought it was quite classy. Looking before the players came onto the pitch in the tunnel, every one of the Arsenal players went over to him. You know, a real classy touch, and you know, Ramsdale stayed as professional as he could throughout today. But he's a real character and a really good pro. I say the same for you, Ozzy. Seen him, he was literally the last man off the pitch, wasn't he? Which was quite poetic, really.
As Eamonn said, it isn't the clock, and I'm in the West Stand, as you know, by the tunnel. So we were a large majority of us stayed for him to come off the pitch. Yeah, and like Eamonn said, he sort of looked a bit don't know what to do, but I think you could see the emotion when we started singing the Aaron Ramsdale song just before the end of the game. We were singing England's number one. I thought that was fantastic. You could see he wanted to clap, but he at the same time he's trying to be professional. But I think, but like I say, what a classy response from the fans, and I think we all loved him. He helped us connect with the club. I've got a lot of time for Aaron Ramsdale, and you know, I have to give a special note to Southampton songs. I think the best song I've heard at the Emirates for a while, because they started singing to us, "He left because you're shit," which I thought was a great song from Southampton fans. But that was hilarious. Like a whole stand laughed where I was.
We actually gave him a round of applause in the crowd for that, you know, rather than give it the old "who the fuck are you" treatment. We gave him a round of applause on that one. Yeah,
that was a nice moment as well.
Yeah.
I dare say Ramsdale didn't see the camera. Obviously didn't see him from where I was, but I bet he had a smile on his face when he heard that as well. But no, great crack from the Southampton fans. So yeah, look, the end of that match was about him, and we didn't get a chance to say goodbye, but I think we give him a good send off, the best we could.
Yeah, he actually did. Believe it or not, where Eamonn sits, he turned over to the crowd and gave a cheeky thumbs up. I think he was getting a bit of stick. One of them, he just gave a thumbs up with that grin he has. But yeah, you'll miss him. He's just that cheeky type of player, isn't he? With that grin. But yeah, in terms of himself on the day, he made a great save from Partey. That one near the 45th minute, right at the end of the first half, where he got down to his right and then back onto his left quickly. And then there was one in the second half as well. Saka had a shot deflected and he got down to his left-hand post. So he made a few good stops, and we all know he's a top keeper. And as we all say, we can only wish him the best of luck in his next chapter of his career at Southampton. You know, he deserves to be number one at a club, and thankfully he's got that chance again. In terms of ourselves, there's a few facts. Kai Havertz, that was his 4th goal, Premier League goal in a row at the Emirates this season, following on for a really good start, and his 5th in total when you take in the PSG header. So he's really on fire, and he's making the Emirates his home now. I thought Southampton's Tyler Dibbling, I know me and Eamon and Bernard were on about this young lad. He gave Calafiori a bit of a torrid time down that wing, and he looks really impressive. And if he keeps on that trajectory, you could only see a big move coming for him. You know, really good, silky player in the wing. But I thought Calafiori contained him quite well. Actually, the commentary, I was listening to Adrian Clark on Arsenal TV, what Eamon was saying. He's got that Maldini look, you know, the flowing hair, but he's got that bit of devilment in him as well, you know. So a good shout again by Eamon. It's an Eamon's a loss, Stan, and he should be paid for all this. I think they're copying him at this stage. I know Jorginho and Rice's aggressive high press made it difficult for the Saints to play out, I thought, throughout the first half and into the second. You know, whenever Rice went, Jorginho stepped back, and whenever Jorginho went in, Rice, you know, so I thought the two of them were really complemented each other quite well, and I thought the team as a whole done well. And in terms of a few chances in the 4 second halves, it really got kind of, the only really chance of no was the 40 minute when Jorginho had that long range effort he controlled it on his chest, and it went past Ramsdale's right hand post. That was really, and so really, it was really into the second half. Really, when Fernandes to Southampton had that chance, Dublin crossed in, and it just came up off. I think it's just too high for Fernandes. He just kind of put it over, but that was kind of gave us the warning signs. And then Sterling was nudged off the ball by Fernandes. He chipped it over the top, and I thought Archer done quite well 1-on-1 with Salib, and he just buried it into Reyes' left hand post. And then that really kick-started us literally within 2 minutes. Havertz buried the left-footed shot past Ramsdale, which every strike he's taken now is with confidence, and he's becoming more and more a match winner. Kai Havertz, we're raving about him now week on week, and who would have said that up until Brentford last November when he got that header. Saka's cross was really nicely met by Martinelli at the back post. They were questioning us offside, but I think he was well on, I think, and he took it really well. And the last 2 or 3 games now, I think Martinelli, his season has started now. We're starting to see that old Martinelli, he's hungry again and he wants to start, and he's giving Arteta that headache again to start him, and that's great for us. I think Dibbling had a strike that was deflected onto Ray's post, and then there was that corner where it came up off Herwood Bellis and it hit the crossbar. We kind of got away with one, and then I think a few minutes after that, then we got the third goal. Saka took it really well past Ramsdale, and 3-1. And to be honest, could have been maybe 5 or 6, but 3-1, I'll take third in the table. I know you lads had the best seat in the house as always. Eamon Donnelly, you were in the clock end. How was it from your view?
Well, okay. Well, the first thing I'll say is this game was all about Bukayo Saka and the fact that he's world class. And when you get anybody who doesn't think Bukayo Saka is world class is asleep at the wheel. They're not paying attention. Not paying attention to what he's doing. One of them is Jamie O'Hara, by the way. I think he's on Talk Shite or whatever it is. Really, how do these guys get jobs? Seriously, I wouldn't give Jamie O'Hara a job as an automated ticket machine in Tottenham. I really wouldn't, No, he absolutely. He's telling me that Cole Palmer, good and all as he is world class, and Saka is second level. Come on. Anybody who was there on Saturday would have seen. I'll come back to Saka in a few minutes, right? But the game on Saturday was all about Bukayo Saka and what he did. So, just to start, Southampton actually played with an even lower block than Leicester. They were even deeper, and we kind of had a few kind of scrambled things around the box in the first 5 or 6 minutes. You thought it's only a matter of time before we get one in here. But they kind of weathered that, and we struggled. And this was the game that we've missed Martin Odegaard most since his injury. Yeah. Because it was taking us too long to shift the ball from one side to the other. And I've covered this before. Too many touches from the centre-backs, too many touches. And when a fella's standing on the ball looking and he's 3 and 4 and 5 and 6 touches, it means there's either A, there's not enough movement, or B, nobody's getting into a proper channel. The one player who booked that trend was Havertz, by the way. He was getting into channels all the time. But it was taking us too long to get one side of the pitch to the other. And that's the bit where Odegaard can do a little bit of magic and say, just as the opposition is beginning to read us that we're going from one side to the other, I see a gap. And there's your pass. We didn't have that. So I think we missed we missed Martin more in this game than any other game, right? I think for the Southampton, look, the first half, we got to 0-0. That was grand. The second half, they came out, and as I always say in the programme, they stepped it up a bit. I don't think, we particularly started the second half well, but I thought Big Willie, if that had been Man City we were playing, or Liverpool, or Newcastle, he'd have gotten a half a foot tighter to Archer.
Yeah.
He just wasn't. Willie was only 90% there in that particular moment in the game. Now, just to explain, you don't need me to explain, but if you're a centre half and you get touch tight, you risk the fact that he's going to skip over you and you're gone. But he was neither one nor the other. I just think he was a small bit far away from him, and he got his foot to the shot, and actually the deflection, so I could see it from where it was right behind the goal. It took it past Raya. I think if Willie had been another half a foot closer to Archer, closing him down, he'd have got the block on. And I think that was kind of indicative of the fact that he was nearly unemployed for most of the game.
Yeah.
Right? But anyway, so we did that. I never had any fear that we'd come back. But the thing was...
Sorry, Eamon, just briefly, sorry for cutting across. Yeah. In terms of Raheem Sterling, do you think he got nudged off the ball pretty easy by Mateus Fernandes? Was it a proper...
I think, A, I don't think it was a foul. And B, I think why Sterling fell down was because he didn't see it coming. So it's one thing getting nudged off the ball when you can see it coming. But when you don't see it coming and you get a nudge, there's very little your balance can do to keep you up, you know. So I just think it was one of those things. As I said, I don't think Willie got tight enough. But it was, the interesting thing was, while the Southampton players were off celebrating with their fans, our team was on the halfway line. Right, our team was on the halfway line waiting for the kickoff. Right, and to be honest with you, Southampton in the 3 minutes that occurred between their goal and ours, they never really got a chance to settle back into their formation. Do you know, with the result that Saka dispossessed the Southampton player, and then I'll talk about him now. Right, so let's look at his contribution. Apart from the fact that in the first half, when it was really, really tight, he was going inside and outside. He was actually going down to the byline when he barely any room to do that. It was incredible to watch. But for the equaliser, A, he dispossesses the player. B, with one touch, he gives a pass to Havertz that not only is into his run, but invites him to sidestep to the oncoming defender. All in one, it's all in one split second, right? Brilliant finish by Havertz. Great goal, man in form, love him. We all know that, right? But for the second goal, right, Saka. So he was actually playing against two fullbacks for the entire game. Now, normally the way out of that is you've got Saka, Ben White, Martin Odegaard, triangle pass and triangle. But he didn't have that option. So what does he do? He's been marked by two fellas. He decides, well, there's no triangles available here. I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll feign. So he takes two players out with two drops of the shoulder. Then he feigns to shoot. He knows Martinelli's on the far side, and he delivers the most telling pass at pace that Martinelli there was a great finish by Martinelli, by the way. Yeah. But with the pace on the ball, it meant that Martinelli didn't have to swipe at it. He only had to get it back across, into the goal. It was an unbelievable contribution. And then the third goal, Saka, he made it look as if this was kind of a game of 3 and in. I don't know whether you played 3 and in the UK. When you have one goalkeeper and there's a few players, whatever ball comes to you just kick it into the goal. It was unbelievable. He made it look so easy. Just one or two more things before Carl comes in. The substitutions that we brought on. If you were a Southampton player, you're looking at that kind of going, Jesus, we're after dealing with this now for an hour. Now, looking at what's coming on, we've got to deal with this, that, and the other, right? Whereas they themselves brought on John Luther. Did you see him?
Yeah, man, a nacho. Yeah, he's huge.
Hold on, I'll just get my brown coat. He was like Idris Elba. He was 6'8", and watch it, I think it was his name. He was terrible. He was. I don't know what they were doing that. Like he was terrible. But anyway, we really come in. And just to finish.
What did you make? Sorry, Eamon. Sorry for the third goal. Saka took it really well, didn't he? Like he was there.
He made it look like he was playing a game of 3 and in, Jonathan.
Yeah.
No, it made it look simple. But two other things I want to comment. The three other things I want to comment on very quickly. Declan Rice gave a stupid ball away in the middle of the park, and straight away doubled back around into a centre half's position, and then came out and made a smashing challenge.
Yeah.
You see, that's the mentality of this team.
Yeah.
Right? Number two, Thomas Partey was played out of position, and he doesn't give you an overlap and all of that type of stuff. But I have to say, for a guy who we all thought was going to head off to Saudi, right? His attitude has been nothing short of unbelievable. His attitude is fantastic again.
Yeah, I have to say now, yeah,
right? And the third thing is, I was looking at Mikel Merino running around, and it was bugging me. I'm thinking, he reminds me of a former Arsenal player. I just cannot think who it is. And then on the train back to Gatwick, it dawned on me. He's like Edu.
Yes, exactly.
He actually plays like Edu. And by the way, Edu was one hell of a player for the younger people listening to this show. Yeah. Edu was a diamond of a player who got on the ball, won duels, got his body shape right, laid it off quickly, went into the next action. And Mikel Merino is certainly fit to wear the famous white sleeves. There's no shirt, there's no doubt about that. So look, that was my take on things. You know, and the other thing, so we'll talk about this after Carlos come in. The VAR delay, no, really, no. We'll get on to that. We get on to that.
Yeah. VAR will always be in, definitely in the reviews we do as the season goes on. To yourself, obviously, you've been waiting on the bench like Mikel Merino, who's been waiting for the fourth Arsenal start. Southampton, they didn't fall into the trap of what we saw Bournemouth doing when it was literally over by half time. You know, but how well did we stick to it? You know, how impressed actually, Carl, being at the ground like you always are. How impressive is that high press we do? It's really good on the eye, isn't it?
Yeah, it's so energetic, isn't it? To pull that sort of off. You know, the athleticism in the team is second to none, and I think you know, they're drilled. You can tell they're drilled that. And I think that's what's so reassuring. I think, like, you know, if we compare this game, this Southampton game, I'm not going to say comparing it, but I look at the Leicester match. I thought it was quite a very different performance, not as dominating in the first half as the Leicester one, and it looked very different. But I'm going to talk about the changes probably made a big difference there. Yeah. But then you looked at Tuesday night. I know we've not talked about that, but you know, the Paris game, that was a dominant performance. It was professional. It was slick, and this was a very different performance out of the three. And it sort of shows to me that we have a plan, sort of A, B, and C when it comes to our team, and it's drilled. And it's almost like every game's prepared differently, and I think that's a good thing, because I don't think people know what to expect. I think the changes, I don't know, like Eamonn, I don't know where you were before the game, but probably in King's Head. But you know, the changes were quite talked about before the game. There was lots of sort of I wouldn't say meltdowns, but you know, sort of there was certainly a lot of eyebrows raised at looking at Sterling, Jesus, and Partey playing right back. I think there was lots of questioning of that, but at the same time, is like, who else are we going to play at right back? We've got no Ben White, we've got no Timber. I think Tomiyasu's not ready, so I think that was the right sort of decision to play Partey. And I'll go on a point about Thomas Partey. I know, like Eamonn just said about his attitude, but his right back performance was that of a 90s right back. It was like watching Lee Dixon sort of not bombing on, just doing that, you know, the sensible stuff. I'll get the ball, and his passing was great, but he just didn't bomb on. And what I talk about with plan A, B, and C is like Saka's always looking for that. It's like Eamonn said, with the triangles, he's always looking for that overlap, and we had to adapt, because Thomas Partey isn't that right back. He's not a right back for starters, but he was solid. I thought he was absolutely solid, and it was like watching a 90s right back in action, because the minute he got over the halfway line, he sort of just checked himself and went back, didn't he? Because he didn't want to get caught. But it was great. It was great to watch.
I'd had a few times, yeah.
It was great to watch. I do think the changes affected us though, but we've got to give these players game times, and I think Southampton at home was the one to do that. He didn't do it against Leicester, but maybe that was preparing for the Paris game. But I know we've got an international break, and they've got a bit of a break, but I think it was real well-timed changes, really. But I felt Jorginho slowed the game down, and I know Eamonn said about we just didn't have that transition between defence and attack, and it was almost like the first half for me, and this was why I think we had a lack of chances, is when that ball was played into the centre, it didn't come out quick enough out of that middle when you've normally got, Trossard coming in to play that Odegaard type role, and it just speeds things up a bit. And I think Jorginho is a very solid, safe player, but at the same time he was very, he was going sideways a lot. It was almost sort of a Granit Xhaka-esque type, when he was playing years ago, that sort of passing sideways, not moving on, and I think that affected the whole first half. If I'm honest, that was my sort of real take. Like you say, other than that half chance that Jorginho had, I don't really feel like we got out of first gear and created any chances. When the Leicester game, it was like moving him around, just waiting for that chance. This it didn't feel like that. But I just think we lacked that. But the second, when you go into the second half, we went a goal down. I think Sterling got dispossessed, as you said. I don't blame him for that. He's a challenging.
I was going to ask you, Carl, sorry, what did you make of Raheem Sterling's performance on the day? Seeing him, do you think he was a good? Do you think does he look impactful, or do you think he's, do you think he'll?
I think what you're looking at. I think we said last time. He's just going through the motion at the moment. I think he's just trying to get back to fitness, isn't he? Match fitness. And I think the way he was dispossessed, I'm not going to blame him for that, but I think that was lack of match fitness, the lack of alertness, just because don't forget, I know he's played against Bolton and he had a start against them, but it's going to take him time. He hasn't played for a while. So, and I think he just got caught. And again, don't forget, he's still learning how we play. And we've got to give players time. We've got to give.
But he was interested, Carl.
Yeah, absolutely. He put a shift in. He put a shift in, and like I say, he had his moments. Like I said, I've put my shadow. No frills, but he had moments. He had a few, because we know that about that sort of pace. He's not the paciest player, but he still turned. He got to the byline a few times, and there's a few good actions for him. But anyway, we got dispossessed, and we went a goal down. To be honest, that Fernandes pass was amazing. I thought that was
wasn't it? Top class, yeah.
And he was quite a good player. He stood out for me for that.
Do you think Saliba could have done a bit better, like Eamonn said? Ozzy, do you think he should have been a bit more tighter? As Eamonn says, if that was another player from the top four, would he have been closer? Do you think it was just, as Eamonn says, he didn't have much to do, and it was just maybe a lapse of?
I could just imagine like Saliba kicking a post inside the change rooms, a bit tongue pop and kickboxer. Back in that day, he would have gone and kicked until his shins were red and raw, because that's the sort of player he is. He'll be absolutely battering himself for that, because you can imagine that's the sort of player he is, right? But yeah, look, I think if you asked him, he'd say he could have done better. But at the same time, I think he's human, and he's going to make. He's
absolutely.
Do this.
He's going to learn from that. Yeah.
But guarantee you, he'd be kicking himself for that. But yeah, I can't believe we got a kickboxer reference in there as well. Amazing. But yeah, I think it sparked us into action. And what I loved about that whole reaction to that, and we've seen it time and time again at Emirates, haven't we? Our character just turning around and saying, "Look, roll the sleeves up." like Eamonn said, there's already waiting to take the centre. He didn't feel in doubt. I didn't feel in doubt. I didn't feel that at all. And what a finish from Kai Havertz. And we kept on talking about when we're going to sign a striker. He's playing like a proper striker right now, isn't he? And I think the way he hit that ball, and the way he played on Tuesday night as well with that header, I think it shows he's got everything to do that. And actually, is there a striker out there that's better than him at the moment?
I saw a stat today. Sorry, just when you're talking about that, I saw a stat today saying that he's as many goals and goal assists in half the amount of games for us that he had at Chelsea.
Yeah, 46 games less, I think it was, wasn't it, or something like that? I read that 40 odd games.
Incredible, isn't it?
And he's and then we had the changes, and like Eamonn said, they sort of brought on the cavalry sort of thing, and we've got, I thought Trossard came on and made a menace of himself. I thought Martinelli really stretched things, and it's great to see he's now back on a bit of form, isn't he? He's got that other goal.
Yeah, he's got that taste.
I know Eamonn covered the goal, but they said they'd do that in training. Like, how do you practice that in training to get that timing, that bend on that part? Unbelievable! What a goal! But I think Martinelli really stretched things. We talked the other week about and this goes back to my plan A, B, and C comment about Martinelli tiring him out. You bring Trossard on, and then he always finds space to get those goals. And this time, Martinelli came on as an impact.
Energy. Yeah.
Oh, honestly, absolutely stretched him. And you just knew the minute Martinelli came on that you was going to win that game. Like I had absolutely no doubt that Martinelli, because he was ripping them down that left hand side in front of us.
He's electric again, isn't he? Like his pace is terrifying.
Brilliant. And then Eamon's already hit a point on what I was going to say about Marino. Like but he came on. I thought when we brought him on against Paris, I thought he weakened our midfield. If I'm honest, because Thomas Partey was having such a great game, but but again, we're giving him time, let him settle in, and I thought he was absolutely fantastic against Southampton.
He looked like a fella. Sorry, John. He looked like a fella who was coming back from injury, having played for us for 5 seasons.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, exactly that. And he's a big lad. I didn't realise how big he was. Like again, he's another big lad, isn't he?
Do you think he could be in the mould of Edu, Ozzy, as Eamon said? Do you think? Who would you compare him to? Looking at him early on in his, would you compare him to any ex-Arsenal midfielders?
I think Edu's a perfect comparison. I think he certainly size, way he plays. Maybe a bit of petite as well in there, with his silkiness. That sort of play. I think if you're going to compare it to anyone else, but I think Edu was more likely. But I just like that he's got this ability, like to win a tackle, get up, and then play a pass. Like he's, with some players you get that sort of, you've either got the rough and sort of the passing's not there, but he's got that ability to slam into a duel and then get back up and then put the nicest
like just on the technical side. He wins tackles with his backside.
Yeah.
So, he kind of he just gently puts the other player off balance, gets a leg in, right? And he's already on his way back up. So for a big lad, he's got a kind of a low center of gravity. He's got fight.
He certainly has.
He's got an head, but no, he can. It's amazing. Like I think he'd be a really good addition. He looks like a really smart boy now, Yeah.
But what I find with this team as well, they're just when they're under pressure. There's moments where they're under pressure. They just seem to be so calm. Like Calafiori is a perfect example of it. There's a number of occasions where we looked stretched. And then
how did you feel actually, Ozzy? How did you feel he got on against Dublin?
I think Dublin did him a few times. I think he had a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. But Calafiori is such a baller. Like honestly, I the amount of gasp you hear from the crowd, Eamon, I think you're back when he does just one of these passes, one of these flicks. He makes it. I know Dublin got the better of him a couple of times, but that's he'll learn from that. I'm sure he's still getting used to it. But he's another one that looks like he's been playing for us for years in this setup as well. He doesn't, he's not someone we're saying, give him a bit of time, but he's doing great. But look, I'm going to just finish on. There's just 2 points I want to make really.
Yeah,
I think the crowd need to get behind Jesus. I think we were very negative, and I know
absolutely.
But you've got to understand.
Did it feel like that, Ozzy? That's an interesting point to make.
Massively in the ground. I felt
in what way? In terms of, was there boos or was there like just
not boos as such, but just every time he made a mistake, there was a
frustration.
I've heard people next to me saying, "He's finished. He's done. That's it. I don't want." And I don't think
his work rate. You can't fault his work rate, though. I've looked at him. His work rate. I know he's not scored in the goal, but he makes an impact in other ways, doesn't he?
But the shimmy inside foot that he did, if that, you see, our lot are so fickle. The shimmy inside foot that he did, if that goes in the inside of the goal rather than the outside of the goal, all of a sudden he's back and everything's great with the world. And again, like I'd love to kind of sometimes shake our Arsenal fans by the ears and say, listen, would you get behind? Especially if a guy is struggling.
Yeah,
especially if
he needs it more. Yeah. He's a player like Havertz, isn't he? He needs love. He needs. Because do you remember what it was like when he first came to us? Do you remember like on this John? I remember me, John Millier, Eamon, Johnny Joel. We was all saying how we're so lucky to get this. What a player we got. Because you know what? He came, he felt loved. and we was all behind him. And now he's coming back from injury. He hasn't had much game time. And we're just expecting him to take off where he started. And we need to give this guy time, because I still think he's got a job to play for us. I still think he's got a part to play in this squad. And I think we just need to get behind him and show him a bit of love. Just remember what Kai Havertz was like at times, when he was settling back, and it feels like he's settling back into his team. So we just need to be there for him. And my only other final point, and I've gone on today, but was about also, let's look at the players we had out right for this game. Like we had Ben White, Odegaard, and Timber out, right. All of them potentially could start for this side, and we've just shown our squad depth, and we've played a game against, yes, it's Southampton at home, but we've really got a squad now, and I think every player we bring on will do their job to a degree for us. And I think that's a real good sign of where we're in. Anyway, there you go. That's my take on it.
Yeah, it shows how strong our bench is. Yeah, how it can change a game now. Or a few seasons back, you wouldn't even look at our bench. Yeah. But yeah, it just shows how good the transfers have been over the last 2 or 3 years to mould a team, and to have, and most importantly, to have depth if you're really going to be involved in a title challenge. I think at last we found a really good team now. I think you go to a lot more matches than I do. A team that all the fans are proud of, aren't they? Like you can feel it in the ground, can't you? Like the excitement before the match, and Jordan and all. There's a different buzz.
You can, but you see, Ozzy's right. If that were the case, like I have to say, I keep referring to Anfield, and it kills me. It actually burns a hole in my soul. But if Gabriel Jesus was in the kind of form he's in at the minute, with the injuries and that, at Anfield, they'd be roaring them on.
Yeah, absolutely.
You
just watch our...
They have had some stockings of shite playing for them up front over the years, and the crowd get behind them. Well, we just need to. I mean, okay, there's a connection between the team and the fans, but all of this, the world is over if a team scores a goal against us. I covered this last week. It wasn't as bad. It wasn't as bad at the weekend.
No.
There's a couple of things I also wanted to cover. Like the VAR delay, excuse me, was absolutely shocking. It was 2.5 or 3 minutes. We were all in the stadium. We all knew we was onside. And it got to the stage where we were actually saying, well, if it's taken this long and it's been ruled onside, it's not going to change. We all knew that,
Did you pick up on the Arsenal bench, Eamonn? I don't know if you saw that from where you were, but obviously because of where I sit, the Arsenal bench were cheering with the fans before the referee announced it. So the Arsenal bench just turned around to us a lot and went like that. Yeah. So it's telling us before the referee confirmed it.
They're watching on TV. Meanwhile, the paying customer or the paying fan is there not knowing what the hell is going on.
But, I don't know if you heard a load of cheering in the West Ham, but that's because the Arsenal bench
didn't
wait for the referee.
Yeah, I was wondering what that was about. But the second thing is, I mean, if you look at, I don't know whether anybody saw the Aston Villa Man U game yesterday, and that the referee had to get his wording changed. It took 3 minutes. It took 3 minutes. He had more microphones than Led Zeppelin.
The commentator made a good point, Peter Drury. Surely for the last 3 or 4 minutes of that game, fans would have sufficed. Do you know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I wouldn't mind the poor fella that was changing the voice. He was like a ball boy at the Wimbledon final who'd been handed a racket to say, "Here, return that." It was shocking stuff.
It's ridiculous.
It was absolutely shocking.
It's become a show in itself, as Eamon says, week on week. The referees want to be the centre of attention, don't they? VAR just want to be there, noticed. 100%.
Got to change. It's got to change. It's ruining the game.
It is. It's ruining the excitement of a goal, yeah.
The other one thing I wanted to mention, we were talking about Ramsdale, and let's not talk about Ramsdale Raya, but Raya made an absolute Horlicks at one corner. They hit the bar from it.
That's the one that. Yeah.
But did you see what he did? As it came up into the air, he got up and he grabbed it, took 6 steps out, and He's unflappable, that guy. He really is. There was no wallowing around to say, geez, I got away with that. He gets the ball, he runs out to the edge of the box and throws a howitzer down the left wing, you know.
He's a bit of a steel character, isn't he? He's got a hell of a steel in him.
Yeah.
The minute he gets the ball, though, there's only one thought in his mind: start an attack, isn't it?
Absolutely.
You can see, yeah. I think his days with Brentford really showed to teach him that under Thomas Frank, because they've literally scored within the first 60 seconds of the match. I think it's happened 4 times in a row, you know, and you can see where he gets that from. But yeah, really good 3 points again at home, and obviously your home form will always be a key factor whether you're going to win the league. We're going strong again. I know, just briefly, Ozzy, I know myself, Matt and Eamonn covered the PSG game. You were at the game last week, weren't you? How impressed were you from that? The first 45 minutes looked absolutely electric, weren't we? We came out of the blocks and stifled them, really, didn't we?
It was the most professional performance I've seen at the Emirates this season. If I'm honest, I thought it was brilliant because PSG are a good side. I know they're not the side they were, but they're a good young side. I think they just showed experience. They look grown up. It looked men versus boys, and considering the age of our team, I know you guys covered it well, but but for me, it was just it's just a grown-up professional performance. It was quite proud to watch, actually. In the second half, I think the Leicester game helped that shut it off. But I think that made them think twice about what they did in the second half. But great performance. But I think we've seen, if you look at Leicester, PSG, and Southampton as a trio, I think we've seen 3 completely different games. We've seen the best to worst, and then somewhere in between, I think. I think we see, but we've showed we have a plan A, B, and C, but we do what we do to need to win the match. Do what we need to do, and then I think that says a lot for this team.
There's a few cracking games coming up after the international break, another stoppage that teams don't really need. But we've got Bournemouth on the 19th, which is the 35th anniversary of the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club, so I thought I'd give that a mention. All are welcome to the River Bar for that one. Obviously to yourself, Ozzy. Liverpool at home then at the end of the month. Hopefully there's a few horrors there for Liverpool coming 5 days before Halloween. Newcastle away and Chelsea away. They're going to be, so obviously the Liverpool game in itself is going to be tough, but there are 3 away games as well. As well, that's going to be tricky, isn't it, Eamonn? Like, every game is tricky. But
of course it's going to be tricky, but you've got to do the season in segments, right? So, and look, Arteta said it, that with the same scenario with the Spurs game, the Man City game, and the Atalanta game, and he said, we prepared for that. We knew it was coming. We know it's coming. We don't need to preview all them now, but that's going to be a different story. But there's a couple of things I just wanted to mention. First of all, I'm begging our fans, right, to stop sending me TikToks and all of this of other teams delaying the restart. Get over it. Just get over it. Right? It's gone. Like, oh no, so-and-so playing for Barrow against, delay the restart and didn't get booked. Stop it. It's gone. Right? We know there were 2 shite decisions. Leave it alone. That's number 1. Number 2, I want to give a shout out to Emmett from the Dublin Arsenal Supporters Club, our professional actor. We call him Depeche Mode. He was in under the stand before the game, and he was the one generating the sing-song, getting the crowd up. I hope, Emmett, your veins have actually gone back into your body. He put in a fair shift now before the game, just to say, right? And good luck to him. And then lastly, I just wanted to mention, I had a day watching football yesterday. I just decided to take a chill out day. Eric Ten Hag, I love him. Everybody with a pair of eyes can see that this team is going to explode and shoot it loud. So I like that. Right? Number 1. And number 2, I always have a policy, if I'm watching Tottenham, that if they go 2 up, I turn it off. But yesterday, there was something the way Matoma was playing. towards the end of the first half, I stuck with it, and I had a good day as a result.
Yeah, I'd like to thank Brighton as well. They won me a few Bob and Paddy power. I'm glad I didn't cash out early. Yeah, it's just like to move just briefly to the Arsenal women's team. Were playing yesterday their third match of the season, a 0-0 at home to Everton. Our own goalkeeper for the Irish women's side, Brosnan, pulled off a lot of really top saves to deny us. I think we've done enough in the game probably to win that 2 or 3-0 in fairness, but that's 5 points now from their opening 3 games. Their home form, that's 2 draws at home now. I mean, you need to be winning your home games, don't you? You know, especially with so few games in, the way the Women's Super League is, you need to be, really capitalising, don't you, at home?
Well, if you look at the interviews of some of the players, I think they know that.
Yeah.
They're just struggling to score at the moment.
Yeah.
And it's
so frustrating. You could just see that in Katie McCabe's face, the build up. She just wanted to say it. Katie McCabe, are you listening? We feel your pain. Ozzy, it's tough. I suppose the Arsenal women's teams are going to get that from the opposition now, knowing that their home games is at the Emirates. They're just under frustrate them, aren't they?
Yeah, I think they've got a lot to contend with Chelsea and City, I know, because I think Chelsea are on for 9 points, aren't they? I think there were six.
Right,
six
yeah.
But they're expected to win. Chelsea are very strong. I think City. I think we've had a lot of change, and like we've seen with the men's team, like it might look bad, and but change can be good.
Yeah.
And they're just going for a rebuild. It's almost like a rebuild, isn't it? Let a lot of old time players go. And they're going for a bit of transition. They've just got to stick with it. It's just for timings, not. I think people now they're playing their home games at the Emirates. So is that an added pressure, possibly?
Yeah.
Because there's a lot more expectancy of them, and going for a transition. I think the club's seen quite a lot of change. But yeah, look, just I think they've got Bayern, haven't they? At the next game away as well.
That's going to be a tough game.
Champions League, and then they've got Chelsea at home. So. Again, which is, it's a tough fixture, isn't it? But look, they've still got some great players in Williamson and Beth Mead, and they've got players Russo. They've got players that can turn it around. But it's not the start of season, right? So let's get behind them. Like anything.
Just be on alert that if they played Bayern and all of a sudden Bayern unleashed this 6'3" centre forward called Harriet Kane. It says obviously. Well, then we'll know.
There you go. Keep an eye out.
Beyond the lookout. Yeah. It should be a cracking game on Saturday against Chelsea as well at home away. But do try and get to the Emirates games for the women's team. Yeah, it's if you one player that epitomises Arsenal for heart and passion is our own Katie McCabe, and you can see that, you can feel that hunger she brings around the team as well. So she just seems to be getting better and better with age. But hopefully it's only a matter of time before Russo starts banging the goals in as well. Yeah. I forgot before we go, to get your man of the matches, beginning with you, Eamon, from Saturday.
Oh, Saka and nobody else.
It has to be Saka. Has to be Saka from me as well, Giles. It has to be. Yeah.
It's a 1, 2, 3 from us all. So Bukayo Saka. Yeah.
Just before we finish, Johnny, can I just jump in with one thing? I know on 10th of October on Thursday, Lewis Dunford's on. He's touring. He's in Dublin, isn't he? At the academy in Dublin on Thursday night. If you're lucky enough to have tickets for it, I went and seen him in Northampton on Friday, and he was absolutely brilliant. I'm not a massive fan of his music, to be honest, but he's so good live. It was an amazing night. It was like an Arsenal home bar. Before the amount of Arsenal shirts there and that, but it was just a fantastic night. He's great live, and if you do get a chance to get a ticket for it, go and see him. You won't be disappointed. Absolutely amazing.
Yeah, that's a great shout out to Louis Dunford. I'm sure his ticket sales will rise through the roof after that
Well,
announcement.
it's already sold out. But if you can get a ticket, honestly, go and see it because
I'm sure hopefully you
it's
get the
support
Dublin
act,
Arsenal
and the
Supporters
whole
Club up
night was
there.
brilliant. The whole night was brilliant. Honestly, it was really good. His set list was spot on. Yeah,
It's a good shout out, Ozzy. Just like to mention before we go as well, the 35th anniversary will be the Bournemouth game, October the 19th, which is a halfway kickoff. That should be a really good one. I'm sure Eamon, you'll be at that in the Riverbur.
I'm actually at a concert in London the night before,
Right.
so my flight is due to get home in time to go to that.
Lovely.
And this is the bit where we just make sure that nobody tries to overthrow the committee. So if anybody out there has any bright ideas, you're a disease and I'm the cure. No, I don't know. We have the Bournemouth match in AGM and a bit of a party, so all good, you know.
Johnny's just fell in the East Stand. Hang on.
I'd just like to say, as always, this is Ozzy's last appearance on the show for
See you later.
It's been a busy show. I'd just like to thank, as always, Carl Ozzy Osborne from the UK. Thanks for coming on, pal.
Yeah, great to be
and
on,
also
as
to
always.
Eamon Donnelly. You can catch our show on the Dublin Arsenal YouTube channel and exclusively on Spotify. And next week we'll be going through, because there's no match next week to review, we'll be going through our first 7 games in the league and looking at our form in the Champions League to date. So until next week, thanks for listening and watching. Like, comment and subscribe as always, and we'll see you then. Have a good week.
Thank you.
Cheers, guys.